Trump is fully in the process of draining the swamp, but the uncertainty for many is, will he expose the entire pandemic? For people who injected themselves in this experiment, there's enough public evidence to be concerned. If you were forced to get the shot to work, travel, or maybe you just trusted the system back then, check out this natural solution. Formulated by Dr. Peter McCullough in collaboration with the Wellness Company. And they just leveled up their original detox formula for $30 less. Introducing the 3-in-1 Ultimate Spike Detox, conveniently consolidated into one capsule, with 4 times more nattokinase, 500 milligrams of bromelain, and 500 milligrams of turmeric root extract. Nattokinase, an enzyme researched for its anti-clotting effects, may work to break down spike proteins. Combined with bromelain and curcumin, it provides a potent blend for detoxification and cellular support. Crafted with 100% natural ingredients, Ultimate Spike Detox is backed by research, offering effective support for your cell's natural repair and recovery. Experience the only formula approved and used by Dr. Peter McCullough, a top freedom-fighting doctor who risked it all. Head to twc.health/beans and use code BEANS for 10% off plus free shipping. Again, that's twc.health/beans and use code BEANS for 10% off. Hello everyone, today is quite a day. I have been overly emotional for the past few hours for so many reasons that we will get into today. If you guys are watching, hit the thumbs up, share it with your friends. If you're listening on an audio podcast platform, please share this show out with your friends. This one is going to be quite an emotional one for me for, again, so many reasons. Let's see who's in the chat before we get into it today. Oh boy, we've got a busy chat today. Everyone's all excited. Sharon's here. CJP, of course, buying Mets hats. What else is new? Smith is here. Captain Johnny joins us. My hubby Will's in the chat today. Rams. We have Tom Q Cat. Hammer, listen, seriously. Take care of yourself, honey. Hammer fell down and hurt himself. We don't like to see that. Who else do we have in here? Iowa's here. Iowa, Denise K. Carr is here. Texas is here. Welcome to the very first day of the rest of your life. Check this out, guys. I want you to watch it.
What will we do with this moment? How will we be remembered? Look at the opportunities before us.
This election really isn't about the left versus the right. It's about we the people choosing our government and the choice between freedom versus tyranny.
Nobody has a chronic disease burden like we have. Why are we allowing this to happen to our children? Ultimately, the only thing that will save our country is if we choose to love our kids more than we hate each other.
What is going on here is deeper than politics. It is deeply spiritual. We are being called to rise above the hatred and the fear and the evil.
We need to remember above and beyond that we must love our neighbors, that we must treat other people as we hope to be treated.
You want to be a rebel? You want to be a hippie? You want to stick it to the man? Show up on your college campus and try calling yourself a conservative.
America is going to reach heights that it has never seen before. The future is going to be amazing!
Don't you want healthy children?
Don't you want a president that's going to make America healthy again?
I come to you today as a former Democrat. I will be a first-time Trump voter tonight.
The people dreamed this country, and it's the people who are making America great again.
Promises made, promises kept. All of those people, save one of them, is now doing exactly what they said they were going to do. It is something. I have a couple videos today because it's one of those days. It's one of those days, guys.
In my advocacy, I've often disturbed the status quo by asking uncomfortable questions. And I'm not going to apologize for that. We can't be a strong nation unless we're first a healthy people. I want to thank President Trump for entrusting me to deliver on his promise to make America healthy again. 77 million Americans delivered a mandate to do just that, due in part to his embrace and elevation of the Make America Healthy Again movement. That movement, led largely by MAHA moms from every state, this is one of the most powerful and transcendent movements I've ever seen. The nation is ready for change and recognizes that this is a unique inflection moment. I promised President Trump I will do everything in my power to put the health of America back on track. To the tens of millions of parents across America, especially the moms, thank you. 19 years, I prayed every morning that God would put me in a position to end this calamity. I have the certainty that this is what I've meant to do. The only thing that will save our country is if we choose to love our kids more than we hate each other. We will make Americans healthy again.
The most important thing out of all of this is that it literally starts with you. It starts with you. And that is something that I have learned and come to really know more than anything I've ever known, ever. That I used to think, I said this on the pre-show, I've been thinking about it. I used to think that it was all about putting people in office to make the change we wanted to see. And I've realized now that it's changing ourselves that makes the people we want to see be elected to office. There is nothing more powerful than a healthy, spiritually connected person in the entire universe. And government isn't the answer to our problems. But the changes that are going on right now and what we're going to see moving forward across all institutions and otherwise is, I can't help but be excited. I'm more than just hopeful. I'm filled with joy and excitement, and I know that people are ready. And the first choice to be healthy comes from within inside of you. And clearly, the entire world, and definitely the very large percentage of this country, has chosen to become healthy again, to learn about what's going into their food, to learn about what they're putting in their bodies, to choose better, to know about the pharmaceutical industry, to know what's happening with our farmers, to know what's happening with our water, to know what additives and chemicals are going into our food, to know what's going into our vaccines that we're then choosing to inject into our children. And if we can change the children and keep the children healthy and make our children healthy, we can change the course of history in less than one generation. And I firmly believe that I am here on this planet right now to help with that. and I committed myself to it. I've lived through it, and that's why I'm here. And that's why I think that all of you guys are here too. If I'm not mistaken, as we speak right now, RFK is about to be sworn in at the Health and Human Services Secretary. And I just know when somebody is doing something because they're that called to do it, failure is not even anywhere on the lexicon. It's not possible to fail when you are walking in your passion the way that people who are doing this are. And ultimately, again, it comes right back down to you. I knocked my thing. You make a choice every time you pick up a piece of food to put it into your mouth. As you heal your body, you're healing your mind. As you're healing your mind, you're healing your spirit. And then you're praying to God, not begging him to help you, but begging to increase that relationship and make it come from a different place. You're praying for more abundance. You're praying for more wellness. You're praying for more peace. You're not praying from a place of stopping something that's already ongoing. You're praying for more of the good stuff. And it's just so important. I wish I could find a live stream. I'm going to try and find one right now. But the health portion of things is the key to everything. It's not a political thing. It's a mind, body, spirit thing. It's what you feel here. It's when you wake up in the morning and you say, I am so grateful and appreciative for what I have. I am so grateful and appreciative that I have running water. I am so grateful and appreciative that my kids woke up today and they're outside playing in the front yard, or my grandkids are coming this weekend, or oh my gosh, I'm so blessed with all this love that I feel. And it's just an absolutely paradigm changing thing that then you're thinking clearly, you're thinking with a clear mind, you're making the right decisions, you have the information in front of you, you can sniff out the nonsense, you can sniff out the nonsense like this.
Previous HHS secretaries have had a pharmaceutical industry background, have been a state health commissioner, have run health systems, have been governors. Somebody who has had a background in actually administering the programs that HHS administers. I ask my colleagues, which of these qualifications does RFK possess? You know the answer, none of them. Previous HHS
where you're literally saying we don't want an HHS director who hasn't been involved in the pharmaceutical industry. 99% of chronic health problems can be solved with diet. It's just true. I'm going to look for this here. That's why when people say, yes, we need to get accountability for everything that's happened in the past with Big Pharma and everything else. We need accountability for the COVID vaccine and mRNA technology. We need accountability for what happened during COVID. We need accountability for the vaccine schedule as it stands. We need accountability for all of it. But if we all weren't in a place of fear when these things were shoved before us, we would have refused them. And you cannot be in a place of where you're not in fear if you don't have information and if you're not feeling well and healthy. As a matter of fact, there's one more video here where at the end he says, people who are healthy have the American dream at their feet. People who are sick are dreaming of being healthy. And it's just so true. There will be accountability for all of this. If nothing else in the next 4 years, but information comes out, it will be a massive win. And we already know it's going to be more than that. I think it's all important. The accountability is important. Ripping these things off the market is important so they can't poison and kill anyone anymore. But this movement and all of this is for the moms, who have vaccine injured children who have been fighting against a system that has told them they were crazy for years. It's for the moms who have put their kids on SSRI medications because they trusted their doctors and had horrible things happen to their kids. It's for the dads who have been there in those situations. It's for anyone with an autoimmune disease, anyone who suffered through cancer, anyone who's had any of these horrible things. God made this beautiful body to function using what we have at our disposal. We can do it that way, just by getting healthy. And there are so many different ways that we can do that. And if people are ready, they're going to start taking charge of that. And I'm telling you right now, there will not be another person elected to office who does not uphold the values of healthy people in mind, body, and spirit. It will not happen again. Healthy people are not going to vote for someone who puts their sickness and prioritizes sickness above health. The journey isn't over. The battle isn't over, but we are at a paradigm. We have reached critical mass. Everything is changing. Every single thing in that commercial is coming to pass. We have DNI. We're going to have FBI. We got the AG. We got the HHS secretary. Now we're going to move on to get Jay Bhattacharya at NIH. There's a lot more still to come. But today, I can't help but feel this absolutely overwhelming sense of excitement and joy. And it's not even necessarily hope, because I just know, even if we didn't have government, Ron Paul used to say, and I know we got it from somewhere else, an idea whose time has come cannot be stopped by any army or any government. And that's where we are. The time has come. The people have spoken. People are yearning to be free and to be healthy everywhere. It's all I ever see is people talking about that. And there are people who are stuck in this negative feedback loop of illness, and we can lift them up and make them well again. It just takes taking our arm and putting it around their shoulders and hugging them along the way. This is a movement of love, nonpartisanship. There's no division here. It doesn't matter if you're a Democrat or a Republican. You still have the same human body, the same human soul. If you're out there and you think, well, I can't work with this person because they're this, that's over. The time for that is over. Humanity is coming together at this point. Across political lines, there are Democrats in a Republican administration. It's done. It's finished. The division, the false division, the hatred, all of it, finished. Wipe it off of your plate. Take it out of your experience. It doesn't exist anymore. Look at what these people are doing. I don't know if you guys saw this, but look how ridiculous.
Now, I'm going to be quick because I want to send a message to somebody. Elon, take your musty millions and musty Moscow rights to the moon. Because if you don't, we're going to stand up, we're going to speak out, we're going to march, we're going to do anything we need to do to make sure that the people of this country understand that the CFPB is for them. You get your musty hands off of our money or go to Moscow, you musty moo.
No sane person sees this and says, yeah! These are people who are spiritually disconnected. Spiritually disconnected. Thank you, Will. Me and Will, we laughed about this a little bit incessantly last night because it is ridiculous. It truly, truly ridiculous. And the best part about it is for so many years, how many of us were like, can't you see? But we stuck it out and people see. They see it. They see it everywhere. It's I brought this up to show everybody. Do you remember this, guys? This is Chuck Schumer. Here. Talking to an invisible person and telling him to move out of his chair. Watch. Right here. Move out of my seat. Some of you guys may still be not feeling well, but I think that if you're here, you've made the choice that you want to start feeling better. And I have come to realize, again, after so much soul searching, that I am here because I want to help people. That's it. I just want to help. And if that means that you need a cheerleader in your corner every single day, cheering you on to make the right choices for yourself so you can start feeling better and you can get to this place where your body feels good and you're not inflamed, and then you start thinking more clearly because you're not distracted by inflammation and pain and sickness, and you can go to work and be joyful throughout your day. Or maybe you decide you don't want to do that anymore and you quit your job to do something you've always wanted to do. Whatever the case may be, we are at the point in time right now where those of us who have decided to be cheerleaders will be your cheerleaders. I am your cheerleader. I am your cheerleader all day, every single day, 7 days a week, 24 hours. If you ever feel down or feel like you can't do it, I am behind you saying, do it. You got this. Don't worry. You got it. Keep going. Fight through that urge to grab that effing donut. Open your fridge and see RFK sitting there looking at you. It all goes together. Yes, getting the mRNA shots off the market, absolutely important. But if we are not coming at life from a place of wellness and security and hope and faith, then we are in fear. And if we are in fear, we are looking to someone else to save us. And if we're looking to someone else to save us, then we're not in control anymore. And we need to be in control every minute of every single day, in control of our emotions, in control of what we eat, in control of what we demand the market provide us to eat, in control of what medication we take, if we even decide to take any, in control of what kind of information is released about the drugs that are coming to market. Not saying, oh, we have this weird cancer epidemic among young people right now. Wherever could it have come from? Here's a new drug to stop the cancer. Happy MAHA Thursday is right. It's time for a change. I think today was the begin. Like, we've been doing this for a very long time, but today is like, okay, we just ripped through the starting line. Let's show everybody what this does. Let's show everybody what happens when we stop poisoning our children. Let's show everybody let's be the beacon that stands out across the entire globe when we treat our children like they should be treated, which means healing the adults, because the adults are not making healthy decisions for their kids when they are feeling absolutely like absolute crap in a rat race every day, watching millions and millions and millions of their dollars go out overseas and everywhere else trying to barely survive. We need to bring whole body wellness back to the forefront. Today it begins. You guys are all on this roller coaster. I am your cheerleader. I'm going to be standing there with my pom-poms jumping up and down. If somebody wants to get me a MAHA cheerleader outfit, I will gladly wear it and jump up and down and wave my pom-poms in the air. I take a lot of heat from people about my decisions during the primary when Ron DeSantis was running, and I had to make a really difficult choice because for years I had absolutely adored Trump, but I was absolutely stuck on the health portion of things. The accountability for the COVID shots. I did not see a way forward when he wouldn't even admit there was anything wrong with them. I was wrong. He did this. And as soon as this happened, everything changed. I could not be prouder of my 5th vote for this man. 5th? Something like that. I am over the moon, unbelievably ecstatic about what's happening. It's like Gigi always says, it's the Ron Paul revolution, because it feels that way. It feels that way. What is going on right now is just the most beautiful thing I've ever seen. Ever. I mean, look at this. This is how people are reacting.
Stopped. Doesn't matter, you have a contract. So, Turquoise Mountain, which my wife Shoshana runs, has a contract. Had another $1 million to go. Money just stops. Stopped. Doesn't matter, you have a contract. So, Turquoise Mountain, which my wife Shoshana runs, has a contract. Had another $1 million to go. Money just stops. Stopped.
Money just stops. It just stops. All of a sudden, we had this contract to educate Ugandans on LGBTQ theory. My day, I meditate a lot. Somebody in the chat said I'm going to start recording workout and meditation music on Rumble. My day consists of that. Constantly meditating. Whenever I start to get stressed, those earbuds go in and I take the time for myself. There is no other way. If you're not okay, they always make you put your mask on first for your kids. If you're not okay, then I have other stuff here. What else? Oh, this is funny. Hold on. I'm going to open up the chat in a second, but look at this one.
Evil's not bluffing. One of our satellites is falling out of orbit. Which one? It's the one that looks like a pair of
big balls.
Lord almighty.
That looks just like my husband's. Big balls.
Are they nice and firm?
Well, what do you think?
Look at that. It looks like a set of giants.
Big balls here.
Wang, pay attention.
I was distracted by that enormous flying...
Big, B-A-L-L-S.
Wait, that's not a woodpecker. It looks like someone's...
Big balls online.
Johnson. Yes, sir. Any sign of that satellite? No, sir. It's gone. Evil's not bluffing.
This is where we're living. This is the timeline we're on. I can't even get over it. I keep on sharing this with people. The things that are happening right now are just glorious. Glorious. And they're standing there in the middle of the town square completely naked. Lee Zeldin, homegrown Long Islander, at the EPA, clawing back.
Hi, this is EPA Administrator Lee Zeldin. One of my very top priorities at EPA is to be an excellent steward of your hard-earned tax dollars. There will be zero tolerance of any waste and abuse. An extremely disturbing video circulated 2 months ago featuring about an EPA political appointee talking about how they were tossing gold bars off the Titanic, rushing to get billions of your tax dollars out the door before Inauguration Day. The gold bars were tax dollars, and tossing them off the Titanic meant the Biden administration knew they were wasting it. Following this revelation, during my meetings with members of Congress, I made a very important commitment to them and to the American people, which I reiterated at my confirmation hearing that if confirmed, I would immediately get a full accounting. Fortunately, my awesome team at EPA has found the gold bars. Shockingly, roughly $20 billion of your tax dollars were parked at an outside financial institution by the Biden EPA. This scheme was the first of its kind in EPA history, and it was purposely designed to obligate all of the money in a rush job with reduced oversight. Even further, this pot of $20 billion was awarded to just 8 entities that were then responsible for doling out your money to NGOs and others at their discretion with far less transparency. Just under $7 billion was sent to one entity called the Climate United Fund. I'm sure you and I now have some of the same questions. How do these organizations decide how to allocate funding? How much money have they given out so far and to whom? Are there any former Biden EPA staffers who are now working at these entities? Let me make one thing abundantly clear. At this point, there is zero reason to suspect any wrongdoing by the bank. Here's my position as EPA administrator. The financial agent agreement with the bank needs to be instantly terminated, and the bank must immediately return all of the gold bars that the Biden administration tossed off the Titanic. EPA needs to reassume responsibility for all of these funds. We will review every penny that has gone out the door. I will be referring this matter to the Inspector General's office, and will work with the Justice Department as well. The days of irresponsibly shoveling boatloads of cash to far-left activist groups in the name of environmental justice and climate equity are over. The American public deserves a more transparent and accountable government than what transpired these past 4 years. We take our obligations under the law as seriously as it gets. I've directed my team to find your gold bars, and they found them. Now we will get them back inside of control of government as we pursue next steps. As President Trump has vowed, we are going to usher in a new golden age of American success for the citizens of every race, religion, color, and creed.
At this point, if anyone is trying to spin any of this stuff as negative, you've got to think about where you're spending your time. Are you, like, I love InfoWars. I love them so much. Like, they do great stuff. They've been on this forever. But yesterday, they had a headline about, or the day before, Tulsi Gabbard gets confirmed, but RFK in danger. Like, there's always something negative. We have right now, you should be swimming in this positive energy right now. You should be surrounding yourself with it. Nothing else should be entering your experience. You should be joyful. You should be happy and excited. You should be looking at what's going on, even with all the lawfare and the nonsense, and saying, holy, what in the, if people are, this is bad because, this is bad because, this is bad, danger, fear, danger, be scared, no more. You guys are too smart to give your emotional puppet strings away to some other people that either are very, very, very sad and very unhappy and very miserable and have something they have to work on within themselves, rather than finding places you can put your attention and bring in your experience positive, uplifting, amazing stuff. Because that's what all of this is. Positive, amazing, uplifting stuff. And people have been laying the groundwork for this stuff for decades. Decades. I'm dropping a Zoom link today. Hopefully we can get a bunch of folks to come on in and join. Let me just make sure I share everything out the right way. There is no room for blackpilling and doom crying right now. Literally none. Like, we need all of our happy warriors to stay on the battlefield, dance around, and do their thing. That's what needs to be happening right now. Hold on. There we go. I'm going to pin this up there. And then hopefully we get some happy warriors to come on in and join us today for the show. Yeah. Gotta make this full screen. Whoops. I'll get there eventually, guys, you know. Oh, quick announcement before we go on to the next thing here. There will be no show tomorrow. When we started doing this, Frank still wanted to join, and so I made a commitment to record the show with Frank at 10:30 in the morning when we used to broadcast it live so that he would be able to do it. And he had some stuff come up and had to cancel last minute, but I had already planned out an entire afternoon's worth of meetings that I couldn't cancel because I wouldn't be doing this in the afternoon. I would be doing it in the morning, and unfortunately, I am going to need to not do this show tomorrow because of that. Reading the chat today on this show has been Amazing. I love all of you guys so much. You are exactly the type of people that I want around me at all times, by the way. Let's go through some comments real quick and see what's going on here. Let's see. Brian Cates has joined the chat. It hasn't even been a month yet, and most of this happened with Trump only having half his cabinet confirmed. Imagine what he's going to be able to do when Tulsi and Cash get up and going. Yes. Yes. So there's a press conference that... Oh, yes, that's what I wanted to show you. Hold on. Bear with me a second. Doge has a website. Gina, I see you. Hold on one second. Doge has a website, and you can go on here. They're actually trying to document out the federal workforce and who works where and do an org chart for the federal government, which hasn't been done in like goodness knows how long. We can poke around there in a minute. Let's see what... I think it's Gina. Gina?
Oh, God. Hey.
Hi.
How are you?
I'm good. Hold on just a sec. Let me get you up
okay.
here. Come on. There you are.
Oh, I was hesitant because I just got to my sister's in Charleston. I'm dog sitting, but the dogs are behaving at the moment. So
if we hear any crazy dogs, we'll understand.
Yeah, they're mainly just licking me right now. So it's...
Is it raining down there?
Yeah, it's been raining. I just got here, pretty much drove. It was misty, not too heavy rain.
Well, I'm about 2.5 hours north of you.
Okay.
And we got thunder. We had thunderstorms.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I drove from Fort Mill, South Carolina, which is about 2.5 hours, I guess, in another direction.
What isn't in South Carolina? Everything's like 3 hours away. Everything.
Yeah, right. Let's see. Fort Mill's right outside of Charlotte.
Still.
Yeah. See, here she is.
Okay. Aw, hi. Aww.
This is Rose.
How old?
You know what? I'm not sure. I think Rose is probably 3 or 4. And then she's got an old Frenchie down here, and he's a mess. He thinks he's the shit.
He probably is in his world.
He actually is. But no, I wanted to just, I guess, comment about the MAHA thing. I actually put in an application on Trump's website a while back for that because I have a degree in dietetics, and even though I've had to relearn everything, I was a group fitness instructor for 34 years. I retired kind of when COVID happened, but I'm super passionate about nutrition and fitness, and it's kind of been my thing my whole life. And when my kids, I think I've told you this before, when my kids were growing up, we didn't do the vaccinations. We had to do some in the beginning until I realized what was going on. But, it's kind of always been like a culture in my family to be healthy. And, my kids would beg me to buy Pop-Tarts and Oreos, and I just wouldn't buy that stuff.
Good.
So they would be able to get it when they go to their friend's house, But I think they thank me for it now.
So you have two kids?
I have 3.
3 kids. Healthy, happy kids.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, actually, they're 30, 27, and 21. And my daughter just told me she was pregnant. So I'm going to be a grandma in September.
That's so exciting.
Yeah. And she's going to do the home birth and, do the whole midwife thing. So I'm super excited for her.
That brings something up for me, actually, I'd love to talk to you about. Everybody, sometimes you find like people saying, oh, well, we're not in the Stone Ages. We don't have to do home births anymore. Medical advancements have made it so that we can give birth in a hospital. And like, part of me wants to say, maybe if the hospitals weren't so anti-birth, people would be in comfortable environments with medical attention nearby in case they needed it. But because they've become these, like, for lack of a better word, institutions of death, women don't want to have the most powerful spiritual experience of their lives if they know better, surrounded by that. What do you think about it?
Well, unfortunately, I kind of did the whole, hospital thing, because I guess it was just kind of like the thing to do. My mom, and probably my mom and my family, they probably would have flipped out if I had decided to do a home birth. But what's so funny is now my mom, she's 87. She's so excited about my daughter, getting a midwife and doing the home birth. And, and she says, honey, back in the day, that's how we did it.
Yep.
They were birthing babies at home all the time. And, in her generation, now she did have all of us, I think there's 5 of us in my family. I think she had all of us at the hospital, but, yeah, I'm excited for my daughter to have this experience. I really am. And 2 of her friends, have done the same thing. And actually, one of her friends, they just had their 3rd baby at home, and those kids are just amazing. They're so, they just, hold on a second. Sorry.
That's okay. Oh, she left. Hold on. Well, they're coming in. Those babies are coming in a non-stressful, they're coming in a good environment. Like, it's so much different. I had 2 births in the hospital, and they were generally okay. But the first thing they're doing is taking your child away from you and putting it on a machine. Now, I'm not saying that there aren't some times where there needs to be medical intervention. I was born from a C-section because my mom's pelvis wasn't big enough for me to fit. So that's an instance where modern medicine could help. So I'm not like sitting here making the declarative claim that like nobody needs any medical intervention when giving birth. I'm just saying with an experienced midwife or doula at this point in time, the necessity for every woman to give birth in a hospital, when the hospitals have proven themselves to be what they are now, it's just not that important anymore. Like, people want to have a pure experience when delivering their children. It's such a change that's going on. And like she said, those kids are different. They come into the world in a different way. They experience their first cry in a different way. They're bonded to their parents immediately. It's just a different experience. And somebody said Frank had a good caller the other night, a female caller from California, natural childbirth in Austin, Texas at a barn. Tom QCat says, so you're saying you have a big head? No. My son had a big head. My mom had a small pelvis. You should see. I wish next show I will pull up some pictures of my son when he was born. He had the biggest head ever. Oh, also, announcement. Monday on the show, I will have a guest. Very excited that I will have Viva joining the show with me on Monday. I have so many questions to ask him. He's really going hard after the Lindy Lee chick, the Democrat whistleblower quote. But I have a lot of questions for him that I haven't gotten to ask him yet, but he's asked me a whole bunch of questions because I was on his show. So Viva will be with me on Monday live here. Gigi, you should be calling in right now so we can have a conversation. Get up off your butt and call in. And while you do that, I have a clip from the most amazing press secretary to play for you. It's something else. Here we go.
Brian.
Yes. I want to go back to DOGE just for a second. Earlier, the subcommittee headed by Chairman Marjorie Taylor Greene, her and her staff discovered $2.7 trillion in improper payments to Medicare, Medicaid, overseas, to people who should not have gotten it. Some of this room might have missed that press conference. Can you elaborate on what the president is thinking at this point.
Well, again, that's another example. There's a very long list of the fraud, waste, and abuse that DOGE is identifying on a daily basis. Elon Musk also talked about yesterday about Social Security payments that are going out the door for people who are no longer with us, unfortunately. I would say that is certainly fraud. There's also a lot of contracts they've identified that, just as a hypothetical example, are $1 million, but only 500,000 went out the door. So where's the rest of that cash? And so that's the thing. Those are the things that DOGE is working on every single day. And I would just remind everybody in this room, this is what President Trump campaigned on doing. He's delivering on a promise that 77 million people elected him to do.
Amen. So true. So true. I want to look and see if I can find the ongoing, the confirmation or the press conference, or the swearing in, I'm sorry, which is supposed to happen at 2:00, but doesn't seem to be live. Oh, here we are.
Yes, we're charging them, so it works out very well. It's a beautiful, simple system, and we don't have to worry about, gee, we're charging too much. India is right at the top of the pack, pretty much. There are a couple of smaller countries that are actually more, but India is a very, they charge tremendous tariffs. I remember when Harley Davidson couldn't sell their motorbikes into India because of the fact that India, the tax was so high, the tariff was so high. And Harley was forced to build, I guess they built, I don't know, that was a while ago, but I think they built a factory in India in order to avoid paying the tariffs. And that's what people can do with us. They can build a factory here, a plant or whatever it may be here, and that includes the medical, that includes cars, that includes chips and semiconductors, that includes everything. If you build here, you have no tariffs whatsoever. And I think that's what's going to happen. I think our country is going to be flooded with jobs.
What should consumers expect? Are prices going to go up short-term,
Well,
long-term?
not necessarily. I mean, not necessarily, but I'll tell you what will go up is jobs. The jobs will go up tremendously. We're going to have great jobs for everybody. This is something that should have been done many years ago. China did it. I mean, China did it at a level that probably nobody's ever seen before. If you manufactured a car, you couldn't send it into China. The tariff was so high. So everybody went and they built in China. It was no big secret. So we're going to see, but it's going to mean tremendous amounts of jobs. And ultimately, prices will stay the same, go down. But we're going to have a very dynamic country.
But if prices go up, Mr. President, because of these tariffs, who do you think voters should hold responsible?
Oh, I think what's going to go up is jobs are going to go up, and prices could go up somewhat short term, but prices will also go down. And I think the farmers are going to be helped by this very much because product is being dumped into our country, and our farmers are getting hurt very badly by the last administration. The last administration hated our farmers, like at a level that I've never seen before. I think our farmers are going to be helped. Jobs are going to be helped, but our farmers are going to be helped. Our manufacturers are going to be helped. And again, if somebody wants to come in, including the car companies, if they want to come in and build car plants, they'll do it without tariffs, and therefore prices won't go up. There could be some short-term disturbance, but long-term, it's gonna make our country a fortune.
So Americans should prepare for some short-term pain.
No, you said that. I didn't say that. You know?
But if the prices go up,
Let's see what happens. Nobody really knows what is going to happen, other than we know that jobs are going to be produced at levels that we haven't seen before. We know that we think interest rates are going to ultimately be coming down because of things that happen, and they go hand in hand with the tariffs. But we think that the prices for some things, many things, it could be all things, will go down. Ultimately, will go down.
Mr. President, can you explain the timeline here, sir? There's a period of time for a review, a report, 180 days. Sure. What's the earliest date that you think tariffs will actually be implemented and executed?
Well, I would say, maybe I'll ask Howard to answer that, because he's going to be the one that's implementing. What do you think?
Our studies should be all complete by April 1st. So we'll hand the president the opportunity to start on April 2nd if he wants. So I think we'll be ready to go on April 1st, and we'll hand it to the president, and he'll make his decisions. But remember, if they drop their tariffs, prices for Americans are coming down. Our production's going up and our costs are going down. Remember, it's a two-way street. That's why it's called reciprocal.
Have you spoken to any American CEOs directly about this? Are they calling you and
I've
asking for
spoken to many, and many love it. And they say this is going to be the thing that makes our country really prosperous again. And this is going to be what pays down to $36 trillion in debt and all the other things. And this is going to be, this is an amazing day. I think this is going to be a very big day and in a very positive way for our country. Yes, please.
Mr. President, you've talked about the VAT and the EU before and your concerns with how the EU treats you. Do you have a number in mind on the European Union? Do you have an idea of where that number is going to land?
Well, what they are now is they have a 20% VAT tax, which we're considering to be similar or the same as the tariff. Plus, they charge lots of fees, and they're doing something else. European.
Did you remember Biden doing anything like this ever in office? Like ever? I don't remember Biden ever doing anything like this.
They're American companies.
Ever.
And, the kind of numbers are staggering, and the court system over there is not very good to our companies. If you know that Apple had to pay, I think, $16 billion in a penalty. A court case that was really shocking because most people thought they would have won that court case, people that watched it. So they've been very tough. Airlines have called me up and they said, could you help us with Europe because they're charging us so many different fees. I got a call from the head of American, United, and other airlines saying every time we land a plane, we get just absolutely killed by the European Union. And so they haven't been treated as good. We think the European Union is wonderful. We all love Europe, love the countries in Europe. But European Union has been absolutely brutal on trade. Canada's been very bad to us on trade, but now Canada is going to have to start paying up. And Canada's been tough on the military because they have a very low military cost. They think we're going to, protect them with our military, which is unfair. So Canada is going to be a very interesting situation because we just don't need their product, and yet they survive off the fact that we do 95% of what they do, and Canada is just absolutely. I say it, and sometimes people smile, and sometimes they say great idea, but Canada, their taxes would come down greatly, their security would go up greatly. Amazing things happen to Canada. And really, Canada, in this particular, why would we pay $200 billion a year in subsidies to Canada when they're not a state? You do that for a state, but you don't do that for somebody else's country.
I knew it was coming.
So I think Canada is going to be a very serious contender to be our 51st state.
Negotiation ongoing with Canada. There was obviously a delay in implementing those tariffs.
I spoke to Governor Trudeau on numerous occasions, and we'll see what happens. But it just sets up so good for them.
You said Governor
Trudeau.
Trudeau.
Pay much less tax than they're paying right now. They'd have perfect military protection. They don't have any military protection because and you take a look at what's going on out there. You have Russian ships, you have China ships, you have Chinese ships, you have a lot of ships out there. People are in danger. This is a different world today. It's a different world. They need our protection. Yes.
You mentioned Elon Musk and the efforts that he's undertaking with your authority. You granted him new authority this week. Will he secure any new government contracts while he is working on Doge?
No, not if there's a conflict. If there's no conflict, I guess what difference does it make? But we won't let him do anything having to do with the conflict.
Are you personally checking to make sure there's no conflicts of interest?
Yeah, I am.
He answers to you.
Sure, he does. First of all, he wouldn't do it, and second of all, we're not going to let him do anything where there's a conflict of interest.
Mr. President,
your negotiations with the EU there's discussions ongoing already. How quickly do you expect that you'll hear back from them about any of these other measures?
I can't tell you, The EU's been very nasty. It's just been, they haven't treated us properly. Look, we were great to them on NATO. Essentially, it's a similar group of countries. When I came in, my first term, I raised their fees. I mean, they were not paying. We were paying for, in my opinion, almost all of NATO. And now, I had the bad moment with the press where the press said, well, does this mean you won't protect them? And I said, I won't protect them if they're not paying. But because I said that, the Secretary General, as you know, said it was the greatest thing he's ever seen because the money came pouring in. But they don't treat us right on trade. They don't treat us right on the military either. I mean, if you look at Ukraine, we're in for probably $200 billion more than Europe. Why are we in for more than Europe? We're in for more than Europe. I mean, think of it, or NATO. I mean, let's call it NATO because Canada's in. By the way, Canada is just about the lowest payer. Also, they shouldn't be. They are just about the lowest payer in NATO, in addition to everything else. So Canada's really been taken advantage of. And if they had to pay just something modestly fair, they wouldn't be able to succeed as a country. And that's why I feel they have to become a state. Yes, ma'am.
Thank you, Mr. President. Is it your expectation that partners will offer major concessions and that you actually don't end up applying those tariffs?
No, I think that a lot of them will stay the same, and whatever they pay, I'll pay. I mean, we'll have a lot of them stay the same. I think some. Look, I heard as an example, EU lowered their tax on cars down to the exact same amount that they were much higher. They were approximately 5 times higher, and they lowered them down to the exact tax that we're charging. That took place like yesterday or the day before. Is that a correct statement? I think so, yeah.
Do you expect any exemptions or waivers?
I don't expect that, no. This is a simple system. I mean, there wouldn't be any. And in the case of Apple, I gave them a waiver, an exemption in my first term because Samsung was in South Korea, and Samsung didn't have to pay the tax because it was a tax on China, and Apple makes a lot of their product in China. So I did that because it wouldn't have been fair. But now this applies to everybody across the board. This is a much simpler way of doing it, much better way.
You had that major call yesterday with President Putin of Russia. President Zelensky responded today basically saying any agreements they won't accept unless they're made with Ukraine. Will Ukraine have a seat at that table for those negotiations?
Of course they would. I mean, they're part of it. We would have Ukraine, we would have Russia, and we'll have other people involved too. A lot of people, a lot of forks in this game. I'll tell you what, this is a very interesting situation.
Devil's
but the
playground.
Ukraine war has to end.
Devil's playground.
The young people are being killed at levels that nobody's seen since World War II. And it's a ridiculous war, and it has to end. We had a good talk with President Putin. I had a good talk with President Zelensky, very good talk. And somebody said, oh, I should have called Zelensky first. I don't think so. I mean, we have to find out whether or not Russia wants to make a deal. I know that Zelensky wants to make a deal because he told me that. But I now know that Russia wants to make a deal.
Did you ask Secretary Hegseth to walk back his comments yesterday saying Ukraine won't join NATO and won't go back to pre-2014 borders because those are bargaining chips you could use?
No, I didn't. Somebody told me to, but I thought his comments were good yesterday, and they're probably good today. They're a little bit softer, perhaps, but I thought his comments yesterday were pretty accurate. I don't see any way that a country in Russia's position could allow them, just in their position, could allow them to join NATO. I don't see that happening. And long before President Putin, Russia was very strong on the fact that I believe that's the reason the war started, because Biden went out and said that they could join NATO, and he shouldn't have said that. As soon as he said that, I said, you know what? You're going to have a war now, and I was right about that. This is a war that would have never happened if I were president.
But you don't think it's President Biden's fault, not President Putin? I mean, he's the one.
I think Biden is incompetent, and I think when he said that they could join NATO, I thought that was a very stupid thing to say.
This is so great.
I thought when he said, well, it depends if it's a minor incursion. In other words, it's okay if Russia does a minor incursion. I thought that was a very foolish thing to say.
The
other thing that got it started was how badly Milley and these stupid people, the bad generals, how badly they did with Afghanistan. I was going to pull out, but we were pulling out with dignity and strength, and we were going to take our equipment with us and everything else. They are, I mean, what they're doing is, what they did with that, I think Putin looked at that mess and he said, wow, this is a great time, I'm going to go in. But what the Americans said, I'm not blaming Americans, but I will say what they said had a big influence on his deciding to go in. Yeah.
When Elon Musk met with Prime Minister Modi earlier today, did he do so as an American CEO or did he do so as a representative of the U.S. government?
Are you talking about me?
No, Elon Musk.
Elon, I don't know. They met. And I assume he wants to do business in India. But India is a very hard place to do business in because of the tariffs. They have the highest tariffs just about in the world, and it's a hard place to do business. No, I would imagine he met possibly because, he's running a company. He's doing this as
It's not like
as something that he's felt strongly about for a long time because he sees what's happening.
it's not like Elon Musk couldn't have gotten a meeting with Modi before. Like this like, oh, he's using his government influence to get meetings bull crap. Come on.
Your government.
Well, he's meeting with me in a little while, so I'm going to ask him that question. All right? I'll ask him that question. Yeah.
On auto tariffs, what should we expect, sir? You mentioned obviously steel and aluminum and pharmaceuticals. What are you thinking about auto tariffs? We haven't talked about that much.
I think autos are coming soon. I think they're all coming more or less at the same time. And it's not going to be a big shock to the system. But what it's going to do is it's going to bring pharmaceuticals back to our country. Much more important than the money. It's a lot of money, but it's going to bring pharmaceuticals back to our country. It's going to bring chips back to our country. It's going to bring automobile. We're going to do a lot more automobile manufacturing in our country. When I did this, when I announced this during the campaign, they were going to build the largest car plant in the world in Mexico. It was almost under construction. It was just starting. And when they heard me make that statement, and they thought I was going to win the election, actually, it was a few months before the election itself. China was building the car plant. It was going to be the largest in the world. They immediately stopped construction. You can see the foundations there. They immediately stopped. When they heard I was doing this, that would have destroyed Detroit. It would have destroyed Michigan. This plant would have taken up more than almost the whole state built. And it would have been very destructive. When they heard me speak, and they said, wow, if he gets in, we're gonna lose our shirt. So they stopped building. That's the impact that tariffs have. Again, I say it, and I say it loudly. It's the most beautiful word, but now I say religion, love, and a couple of other things are more beautiful because I got in a lot of problem with the fake news when they said, other things are more important. God is more important, but these are the words. But I would say it's number 4 or 5. To me, it's the
I'm leaving. I'm going to keep this on to get RFK's confirmation, so you guys are welcome to stay, and then we'll end.
Reciprocal
Swearing
makes
in.
tariffs really fair.
There'd be no exemptions, right? It would be all auto imports?
Any exemptions, no, because you don't need to. With reciprocal, you don't need to.
Mr. President, Gavin Clegg just arrived at the IRS.
Fox Radio. Do you have an update on the TikTok negotiations?
Yeah, we have a lot of people.
Timeline's running out.
Sure, well, I have 90 days from about 2 weeks ago, right? And I'm sure it can be extended, but let's see, I don't think you'll need to. We have a lot of people interested in TikTok, and I hope to be able to make a deal. I think it would be good. People have learned it's very popular, and we'll have to probably get approval from China to do it, but we have a lot of people that are interested, and a lot of people, I think China.
RFK is getting sworn in this briefing in the Oval Office, and as soon as this question and answer session is done. So I'm just going to keep streaming.
Workers arrived today, Gavin Clegg and others arrived today at the IRS. Do you expect to close the IRS, or what are you expecting?
No, I don't expect it, but
Someday.
I think that the Internal Revenue Service will be looked at like everybody else. Just about everybody's going to be looked at. So it's they're doing a hell of a job. It's an amazing job they're doing. And that force is building. I call it the force of super geniuses, but it's building. And they go up and they talk to some of the people about certain deals, and the people get all tongue-tied. They can't talk because these people get it. They're very smart people. We need smart people. Yes. Brian?
On tariffs, sir.
Yeah, Brian?
Yes, sir. Mr. President, I know that during the campaign, it was huge in Pennsylvania as far as bringing back manufacturing. Have you talked to any CEOs since the tariffs were announced on steel and aluminum? What's the feedback on those?
They are in love with it. As you know, in Pennsylvania, U.S. Steel is through the roof. They're all through the roof. That's why I didn't want U.S. Steel to make a deal with Japan or anybody else. I think it's going to do great. But I think maybe more than anybody else, the steel companies and aluminum companies, they're in love with what's happened. And this will eventually be the car companies and chip companies. We have to have chips made in this country. Right now, everything's made in Taiwan practically, almost all of it, a little bit in South Korea. But everything, almost all of it is made in Taiwan. And we want it to be made. We want those companies to come to our country, in all due respect. You know, they took the business away. Taiwan took our chip business away. We had Intel, we had these great companies that did so well, and it was taken from us, and we want that business back. We want it back in the United States. And if they don't bring it back, we're not going to be very happy.
Sir, on tariffs, are you...
Pharmaceuticals as well in China. That's national security to bring that back.
China and other places. We want to get the pharmaceutical and drug business back into the United States, where it should be. Right?
Sir, on tariffs, are you concerned that the countries that would be most affected, like India, would just shift their trading to China?
No, I'm not concerned about anything, really. I mean, I'm just doing what's fair. This is a very fair thing. This should have been done a long time ago. I would have done it, but then COVID hit. I was getting ready to do this years ago, and first time we had the most successful economy in history, and then COVID hit, and this was going to be the thing that I was most waiting to do, but it was awfully hard to do this with Italy and France and Spain, and all those people were dying, and then we put tariffs on. See, I have a big heart.
Sir, on Ukraine, when Putin says that he really wants peace, do you believe him?
Yeah, I do. I believe he wants peace. I believe that President Putin, when I spoke to him yesterday, I mean, I know him very well. Yeah, I think he wants peace. I think he would tell me if he didn't. I'd like to see peace.
Do you trust President
I
Putin?
believe that, I believe that he would like to see something happen. I trust him on this subject. I think he'd like to see something happen. I think it could have happened a long time ago. I think Biden, number one, it shouldn't have started, but it did. And now all those cities are knocked down, like demolition sites. All those beautiful golden towers are knocked down. There's nothing going to replace them. But much more importantly, you lost millions of people. A lot of soldiers, but you lost millions of people. When they knocked down those cities, and they're all laying down on the side, they're lying down just in ashes and all crumbled up concrete. They literally look like a world-class demolition site. And many of them, almost all of them, but many of them, and this should have been done by Biden years ago. This should have never been allowed to happen. I know he's a friend of yours.
But couldn't Putin just withdraw his
He's a friend of
today?
CNN. That's why nobody watches CNN anymore, because they have no credibility. Okay, who else? Yes, please.
Sir, if you can find a buyer in the United States for TikTok, do you think Xi Jinping will authorize the sale of it, or will
I'm going to make it worthwhile for China to do it. I think so. I mean, I got to know TikTok because during the election, I ended up with 36% higher than my opponent with youth. Okay, that never happened before. That's always been a Democrat thing, youth. It became a Trump thing. And I think TikTok, I think Joe Rogan was a part of it. Some of the great people that I did interviews with were a part of it. But I think that TikTok was I think it was a big part. Look, as you know, we were up by 36% with youth. The Republican was never up with youth. And I focused on TikTok, and I found it to be amazing, actually, and very fair. And I think the image of TikTok is different than it was before the election. I think people saw it, and they view it as a positive, not a negative. I think it'll be to China's advantage to have the deal be made, yeah.
How much money do you think you'll raise from tariffs on an annual basis?
That's the most interesting question. I think it'll be a staggering amount. It will be the external, I call it the External Revenue Service. That was a name that was devised by a few of us, but I think it's going to be a staggering amount.
We've heard it's the number $1 trillion floated in meetings with senators. Is that a number you've thought of?
I don't know, but already the Senate's saying, well, wait a minute, they're looking at some of the numbers and they're saying, whoa, look, we want to, I say America first, I say make America great again. That's what we're doing. I think it's the most important thing I've signed. I've signed some very important things. Right to try was so important. I mean, a lot of important things. Space Force, the biggest tax cuts in history. This could be one of the most important things that we've ever signed.
Do you expect the Russians and President Putin to attend the summit in Saudi Arabia?
Eventually, yeah. Not quite yet. It's a little early. They're having a meeting in Munich tomorrow. Russia is going to be there with our people. Ukraine is also invited, by the way. Not sure exactly who's going to be there from any country, but high-level people from Russia, from Ukraine and from the United States.
Do you want to have Russia back to the G7, sir?
I'd love to have them back. I think it was a mistake to throw them out. Look, it's not a question of liking Russia or not liking Russia. It was the G8. And you know, I said, what are you doing? You guys, all you talk about is Russia, and they should be sitting at the table. I think Putin would love to be back. Obama and a couple of other people made a mistake, and they got Russia out. It's very possible that if that was the G8, you wouldn't have had the problem with Ukraine. And if I was president, you definitely wouldn't have had the problem with Ukraine. Russia would have never attacked Ukraine. But you ask a very good question, the G8. It used to be the G8, and then these people threw them out. And I was arguing with Trudeau and with numerous of the people. Actually, Prime Minister Abe, a great man from Japan, agreed with me 100%, and some of the others did too. But I got there, it was the G7, as you know. They had already been terminated. I think it would have been very helpful, and it still would be helpful to have Russia be a part of that mix. And I think if they were, I don't think you would have had the problem that you have right now.
Russia is part of the G20. They kicked them out, of course, because they illegally annexed Crimea. I mean, how would you have responded if Russia invaded or took over?
They took Crimea during Obama. They took, well, now they're looking to take the whole thing. Then they took a big chunk of land and people, as you know, during Bush. And now they're trying to take the whole thing during Biden. You know, the only one that didn't give them anything is Trump. They never took anything with Trump, nothing, not 2 inches of property of land. But Crimea was Obama. And then Bush gave them a lot, if you remember. And then, in fact, it's a sort of a standard little phrase, and Biden's giving them everything because this is a war that shouldn't have been had. And the only one that didn't give them anything is Trump. It's just the way it is.
What's the message from Wall Street about these tariffs? So there's been some nervousness on Wall Street about the impact.
So. I mean, there hasn't been very much, and I think it's going to make the United States stronger, and in many ways it could make other countries stronger too. You know, other countries want to have a strong United States. They want to have a strong America. And I think it's going to make us very, very strong, much stronger. And we have a lot of work we're doing on the military. Our military already, I've authorized some contracts to be built that are very substantial. We're building the greatest equipment in the world. We have the greatest military equipment in the world. We're building it. At some point, when things settle down, I'm going to meet with China, and I'm going to meet with Russia in particular, those two. And I'm going to say, there's no reason for us to be spending almost $1 trillion on military. There's no reason for you to be spending $400 billion. China's going to be at $400 billion. We're at $1 trillion. We're going to be at close to $1 trillion. And I'm going to say, we can settle this on, we can spend this on other things. We don't have to spend this on military because, and I'm going to be meeting with China. You know, we were trying to de-escalate nuclear, and I was in a position where Russia had agreed and China had agreed we were going to start, and then we had a rigged election, so that never took place. But this one was too big to rig. We won by so much that it was too big to rig.
You want to do the China meeting in the United States, or would you travel to China for that?
For what?
A China meeting.
I tell people all the time, you know, the question is who's going to have the first meeting, where are you going to, I say this to Putin, to President Xi, I say to everybody, never bothered me, you know, I'm willing to say I'll go first. It doesn't matter. It's the end result that counts. So it doesn't make any difference.
When do you want to have a conversation about global defense spending, you, China,
Well, I'd
Russia?
like to have that, as soon as things settle down, I'm going to have that conference, primarily with China and Russia, because those are the two that really are out there. And we're going to have them spend a lot less money, and we're going to spend a lot less money. And I know they're going to do it. They agreed to it. We were talking about denuclearizing, and President Putin and I agreed that we were going to do it in a very big way. There's no reason for us to be building brand new nuclear weapons. We already have so many you could destroy the world 50 times over, 100 times over. And here we are building new nuclear weapons, and they're building nuclear weapons, and China's building new nuclear weapons, and China's trying to catch up because, you know, they're very substantially behind, but within 5 or 6 years they'll be even. And we're all spending a lot of money that we could be spending on other things that are actually, hopefully, much more productive. Hopefully, there'll never be a time when we need those weapons. If there's ever a time when we need nuclear weapons, like the kind of weapons that we're building and that Russia has and that China has to a lesser extent, but will have, that's going to be a very sad day. That's going to be probably oblivion.
Do you see that as separate conversations, or do you see one giant summit with you, Xi Jinping, and Vladimir Putin?
Yeah, I could see that. Let things calm down a little bit. You know, when I left, we had no Middle East problem. We had no Russia going into Ukraine. They never would have done it. Putin never would have done it. And I came back and we got like the whole world is blowing up. So when we straighten it all out, then I want to have one of the first meetings I want to have is with President Xi of China, President Putin of Russia. And I want to say, let's cut our military budget in half. And we can do that. And I think we'll be able to do it.
Elon Musk identifies wasteful spending in the Defense Department, defense contractors and the like. Are you willing to go after that spending as well?
We have to go waste, fraud, and abuse. Yeah, and we're doing that.
Could we, I'm just wondering about your conversations on defense spending. Would you want to do that as a trilateral, or would you use the existing body that also already includes China and Russia, the G20?
No, it's the people. It's President Putin, President Xi. I don't need bodies. I don't need anything. It's people. It's all about people. It's about relationship and people. And, you know, I've had a good relationship with President Putin. I've had a good relationship with President Xi. It's about people. And I think when things straighten out, which I hope will be in the not too distant future, the meeting I want to have first is a meeting with China and a meeting with Russia on slowing down, stopping, and reducing nuclear weapons in particular, and also on not having to spend the kind of money we're all spending on weapons, military weapons generally.
I think my question is, would you have those meetings separately with each of those leaders, or would you try to bring them all together?
Both. You start off separately, and that's what was happening. I was dealing with President Putin. We had really an understanding where we were going to denuclearize. What a beautiful term that is, right? Denuclearize. What a great thing if we could do that. And we were going to, he really liked the idea, and so did I. And we had then called China, and China was very open to it. And then COVID hit, and then we had a rigged election. But now there was no rigged election. Now we have an election that was too big to rig. That's what my whole theme was, too big to rig. And they tried, but they didn't pull it off.
Sir, as part of the reciprocal tariffs, would you also direct agencies to study the impact they would have on prices in the U.S.?
No, there's nothing to study. There's nothing to study. It's going to go well. You know, the United States is going to become a very, very strong economically country. Yeah.
Mr. President, in the past you have spoken against BRICS. India is part of BRICS. Do you want to dismantle BRICS, or you want to US want to be part of it?
I don't care, but BRICS was put there for a bad purpose, and most of those people don't want it. They don't even want to talk about it now. They're afraid to talk about it because I told them if they want to play games with the dollar, then they're going to be hit with a 100% tariff the day they mention that they want to do it. And they will come back and say, we beg you. Died the minute I mentioned that. And I remember when Obama and Biden in particular, I guess he said that, they have us over a barrel. They don't have us over a barrel. We have them over a barrel. If BRICS wants to play games, those countries won't trade with us. We won't trade with them. And if any trading gets through, it'll be 100% tariff at least.
On your
What
cabinet,
would be
You know what? When they hear that, what do you think they're going to do? They're going to say, look what happened to BRICS. They didn't want to talk about it. They don't even want to admit that they were a member of BRICS. That's what's happened.
On your cabinet, sir, we saw Robert F. Kennedy Jr. get confirmed. He's going to come in here and be sworn in. Mitch McConnell has now voted against several of your nominees. He voted against RFK Jr. as the next health secretary, citing conspiracy theories. What's your reaction to that?
Well, I feel sorry for Mitch. And I was one of the people that led. He wanted to go to the end, and he wanted to stay leader. He's not equipped mentally. He wasn't equipped 10 years ago mentally, in my opinion. Let the Republican Party go to hell. If I didn't come along, the Republican Party wouldn't even exist right now. Mitch McConnell never really had it.
I have the swearing in.
He had an ability to raise money because of his position as leader, which anybody could do. You could do it even, and that's saying a lot. But the fact is that he raised money and he gave a lot of money to senators, and so he had a little loyalty based on the fact that as leader you could raise a lot of money. senators would call me and they say, he wants to give me 20, 25 million, can I take it? I'd say, take the money, take the money. But he engendered a certain amount of, I don't even call it loyalty, he was able to get votes. But I was the one that got him to drop out of the leadership position, so he can't love me. But he's not voting against Bobby, he's voting against me, but that's all right.
Okay. Apparently this happened already. So we're going to watch it and end the show. I hope everybody's ready. Here we go.
I, Robert F. Kennedy.
Hold on. Let me make the sound high so we can all hear it in all its glory.
Jr.
I, Robert F. Kennedy, Jr.
Do solemnly swear.
Do solemnly swear.
That I will support and defend.
That I will support and defend.
The Constitution of the United States.
The Constitution of the United States.
Against all enemies.
Against all enemies.
Foreign and domestic.
Foreign and domestic.
That I will bear true faith and allegiance to the same.
That I will bear true faith and allegiance to the same.
That I take this obligation freely.
I take this obligation freely.
Without any mental reservation.
Without any mental reservation.
Or purpose of evasion.
Or purpose of evasion.
And that I will well and faithfully discharge.
And that I will well and faithfully discharge.
The duties of the office.
The duties of the office.
On which I am about to enter.
On which I'm about to enter.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Congratulations, Mr. Secretary.
Amazing. Just amazing. We missed it. I'm watching this entire time and we missed it. Can't believe it's true, but it's true. I will see you guys back here on Monday with Viva. Thanks for joining me.